Welcome back to the Motor Windy Show. This is episode 50. This podcast is officially out of the running for the Super Bowl. The Lions got stunned at home by the Washington Commanders after their best season in franchise history. But to lighten the mood, Taylor, we do have one hell of an episode packed for the listeners today, including a very special guest. Before we get into my ultimate demise, Taylor, how are you feeling?
I feel great, Connor. Probably going to be the best episode we've had. Episode 50 will go down in history. So, very obviously roller coaster of emotions from this podcast. Obviously, we have Connor's, playoff exit with the Lions, and then my brand new head coach, and we have an awesome guest at the end. So, hopefully, you're not too sad right now after that.
No, the guest, we're going to chop it up, obviously, but he lifted my spirits. He's a good man. Jovial human being, so he definitely lifted my spirits. Let's get into the NFL news. Obviously, you can tell by our names what happened over the past couple of days here. Ben Johnson is to the Chicago Bears. It's reported a 6-year deal, around $15 million, give or take $1 or $2 million there. Rumored that Dennis Allen, the former Saints head coach, will tag team as the defensive coordinator there, and also bring Rizzi, who is the interim head coach down there, as a special teams coach. So, still has to be confirmed on those two. Ben Johnson is for certain. Taylor, how are you feeling, man?
Connor, let me tell you this. I got a couple thoughts. Yep. I don't want to dominate this podcast with my happiness, considering the weekend and week that you had. But when I saw that news, I was probably the most optimistic, probably joyful I have been as a Chicago Bears fan in a very long time. And I'll tell you why. I know, nothing is certain bringing in a new head coach. We don't know if that means the Bears are going to be worth the damn, but I'll tell you this. The Chicago Bears, A, do not pay coaches. B, usually never go after the top guy. They proved us wrong in both those cases with the Ben Johnson hiring. They got it done quickly. They got it done, efficiently. Everyone was clowning them for all the coaches that they had interviewed, but still Ben Johnson gets hired 2 days after he's obviously eligible to be hired. Obviously he's saying what he's saying now. Who knows if the Bears are always what he wanted to go to. Obviously he's going to have to say that, but he seemed like he was pretty pumped to be there. It just feels good. Caleb Williams obviously was dying for an offensive coach. It seems like the city of Chicago is dying for an offensive coach. So the vibes are very, 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 very high, to say the least.
Yeah, man. Obviously just X or Twitter or whatever is the worst place on earth to be the past couple of days if you're a Lions fan. I got nothing but good things to say about Ben Johnson. Obviously what hurts the most is that he's going to the Chicago Bears. That hurts
Which
a
is
lot.
Fair. That's fair.
Which is a fine emotion, and I think that's valid for any Lions fan to have, but to pretend like what he did for, he, played as much of a role as anybody outside of probably our owner, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, of getting this thing turned around into what we are now. So I am nothing but grateful to Ben. I'm happy that he was able to take this opportunity. I think Taylor kind of said it. Schefter confirmed it. You can't wait that many cycles before people start to raise questions, and it's also hard to explain to your wife and young children why you're leaving $10 on the table every single year. So it was going to happen. Would I have preferred it to be the Raiders? Sure. Sure, I could definitely admit that, but I'm happy you got your guy. There was a point before Vrabel was official to the Patriots, even though that was understood, where you were kind of flip-flopping back and forth, but I think it was a couple days before Vrabel became official, you said, Ben Johnson's the guy I want. And I couldn't agree more. I think he's probably the best fit for you this cycle.
For me personally, and don't get me wrong, I very much respect a defensive-minded coach, but we've just, obviously outside of a Canadian football, Mark Trestman, we haven't really seen that kind of style of a head coach in a while. So I just think it's a big turning point. You have all this talent. Obviously DJ's a vet, but you got Rome, you got Cole, you got Caleb. Now is the time to really invest into that offense. Obviously there's still some holes to fix, as Connor, I'm sure, will mention all offseason, that being the offensive line. And I get where Lions fans are coming from. And I truly don't think it was supposed to be a slight. I get why they take it as a slight, but you got to think of it from his perspective. It's They have a shit ton of money to spend in free agency. They have good draft picks coming up in this draft. And the roster's already kind of put together. Like, I guess you could have argued the Jags. Obviously, we saw with them firing their GM today.
Yep.
They kind of might have fucked up that whole process.
Dumpster fire.
Outside of the Bears and Jags, which again was a dumpster fire, it sounds like from the front office perspective, the Bears seemed like the most ideal spot. Amon-Ra even put on the podcast today that Ben was texting him and saying, like, to be the best, you got to beat the best. So he was very positive to the Lions, and he said he wanted to stay in the NFC North because it's one of the best divisions. So. Yeah. I see why it's going to be tough, but, at the end of the day, like Connor said, if you want to be a head coach, you can't pass up on too many of these chances, and this seemed like the most ideal landing spot for him. I am obviously very happy for that.
I hate the timing. I hate the timing of everything because it was the best fit. It's fresh, it's something new, which is like kind of the theme of the Bears offseason so far, is they're starting to do stuff that they've really never done before.
Correct.
Which I think is a great sign.
They flew in private, Connor. We don't fly coaches private. We fly them. They get their ass on a Southwest flight.
I saw somebody waiting at O'Hare, I think it was, for the private jet and saying Ben Johnson just touched down and he's just playing.
Yes, we're psychopaths.
So
we live in the offseason. We're the offseason champions 2 years in a row.
Yeah, it was rumored. I don't want to jinx anything. I want to keep Hank Fraley with the Lions, but apparently he's out of consideration. He's not going to get what he wants and what I hope the Lions give him, which is like unprecedented to give an O-line coach, is play calling. That's what he wants to do. He wants to prove himself there, obviously, to take that next leap. I think Hank Fraley probably has head coaching in his mind too, eventually, and obviously you have to be able to prove that you can be a capable coordinator most of the time before you get that opportunity. So, I'm hoping we do what we need to do to keep him, whether that's just overpay him or whatever we have to do, because there's other people in line for, the OC role, or we could go external. You never know.
Right.
But sticking to the Lions, they are getting leached by the rest of the NFL. Aaron Glenn, official to the Jets, 5-year deal. It'll probably end up somewhere short of the money for Ben Johnson, obviously, but happy for him. I think I would have rather seen him go to the Saints. Not that they're much better than the Jets, but I feel like that organization overall is just better run top to bottom, usually.
They won a Super Bowl in this century.
They won a Super Bowl, and their owner doesn't go off Madden ratings, which is always good.
Yeah.
Terrell Williams, our D-line coach, went to the Patriots as their defensive coordinator. He worked under Vrabel at Nashville, so that makes sense.
It does have to feel good, Connor, that your coaches are good enough to be poached.
And that's the last thing I want to end on with this for the Lions fans, and this goes back to pretty much since the middle of last season. The middle of last season was when the rest of the NFL's fans were like, okay, wait, Lions fans are actually insufferable and we hate them. And it goes back to, we've never been here before. Our coordinators have. I just sent Taylor an article today that the last time a coordinator was taken from the Detroit Lions, it was when JFK was president. So it's been a long time.
To become a head coach.
So it's been a long time since we've been in this position. We don't know how to handle it. We don't realize that this is what good teams go through.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a great organization, you can weather it. You can reload. That's what we're about to find out. It's a scary place to be, but it's an exciting spot as well, because I do think to get to where we want to go, change is necessary, probably.
I mean, you hear it all the time, the Belichick coaching tree, the Sean McVay coaching tree, the Shanahan coaching tree. Now, maybe we're a couple years away from hearing the Dan Campbell coaching tree. So these are good things. They're not bad things.
Yeah, I agree. Other news, obviously the Jags finally fired their GM. Josh McDaniels is back with the Patriots under Vrabel as their OC, so they have their staff starting to kind of take place there. And I think that's everything for today. I don't think there's been any.
The Raiders hired somebody as GM.
The Raiders hired. Who did they hire?
He was from the Buccaneers.
Oh, the Bucs assistant GM.
Yep.
So they have officially brought him on, replacing their old GM, and that will be probably the last news we see tonight, I would imagine. That was kind of the last thing that trickled in. All right, we're going to cut this episode to a very special guest. Taylor, take it away.
Well, folks, today we have a very special guest joining the boys to talk some ball with us. Straight out of St. Charles, Missouri, attended the University of Central Missouri, transferring to the Kansas Jayhawks, third-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft for the San Francisco 49ers, 2024 All-Rookie team, one of the best up-and-coming guards in the league, much larger human than his brother, Devin. Some might say I taught him everything he knows. I did not. DOMINICK PUNI.
What up?
Dominic, just in case you didn't know, by clicking on that link to join this, you have signed a 5-year deal to appear twice on this podcast. So thank you very much. So how we doing? How's the start of the off season been? You been just chilling, hanging out?
Yeah, no, it's been good. It was definitely a stressful year because I think all the vets was telling me like your first year is definitely the hardest, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just a long year,
Yeah.
all things considered. So yeah, just coming home, it's been real relaxing, just being with family and friends.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
no, I
yeah.
bet. I mean, it's kind of funny. So I know Devin's or Dominic's older brother, Devin, and the most time I spent with Dominic is when he was much smaller. So seeing him as a large human right now is kind of throwing me off a little bit. But that's fine. At one point I was the bigger guy, so that's all I'll tell myself. So, Dominic, really just kind of want to talk about you today. A few questions we got lined up for you. We kind of want to start with your beginnings, and I'm sure a lot of people know this, but obviously you started at the University of Central Missouri and transferred to KU. So I kind of just wanted to pick your brain about what that process was like, and then even earlier back, what was the like whole recruiting process from high school to UCM? Obviously, now you're starting offensive guard for the 49ers. So do you think it was just people didn't recognize the talents, or was it just hard work and dedication that eventually got you to KU? Tell us a little bit about that.
To start with, coming out of high school, I don't think I was really slept on or anything. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
think people missed out on me really. Like I think I was very like accurately recruited.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wasn't big enough. I wasn't strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't have like the body I needed to go play like D1. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was just like, I'm gonna go to UCM with my brothers. Whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna have fun playing with my brothers at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think like 2 years into college, something just clicked. I mean, I just started kind of eating better, and I took the weight room way more serious, and my mindset just kind of changed,
Mm-hmm.
and like it really changed everything. I just started noticing the changes in my body, and football play just started to elevate, and then
Yeah.
I started taking because I just started to believe in myself more, and then it just took off from there. And then 4 years down the road, we had uh, our COVID year, and then the next season, I played one game. It was probably the best game I've ever played in my life. And then I got hurt, so I was out for the year. And then our head coach retired, and my O line coach left too. Our head coach went to Tulane, and our O line
Mm-hmm.
coach retired. So I just took a chance to hit the portal. Ended up getting connected with Kansas, and that was like it was so crazy to me because I never thought I would play like Power 5 football.
Yeah.
So just going there, and they just had all the resources in the world. And all I really had to do was just play football. They
Yeah.
took care of everything else.
That's awesome, man. I gotta ask. So, are you like a diehard KU guy now, just because that's kind of what got you there?
Yeah, I'm diehard UCM and KU.
Okay, so can you tell me how you felt when Mizzou beat KU? Because I was at that game. It was great.
We talk about this year?
Basketball, yeah.
Not basketball, not so much.
Okay, well, okay. That's the only. All
But
right, whatever. We won't go there.
yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Hey, they play Missouri at Missouri this year. I don't know when it's gonna be, but
In football?
yeah, in football.
Oh
I think
yeah,
it's one of the.
that'd be a good one. Hopefully it's during
Yeah,
my bye week. I'll go
that's
to
what I'm
that one.
saying. That's what I'm saying. I think it's supposed to be earlier in the year. I don't know, but yeah, that'd be a good one to go to.
Oh yeah.
Um, so kind of still sticking into college and just getting to the draft process. Obviously, you were at KU what for 2 years, 2 seasons,
Yep, two
two
years.
seasons. And you play tackle both seasons at KU, or did you play any?
So my first year I played left guard, and then my second year I played left tackle.
Okay, so when it came to the draft process, what kind of questions did scouts really have when it came to you came from Division 2, then guard tackle Division 1? Were they really just looking at the body of work, or were they asking you questions of like, hey, what can you do, what can't you do, or were you just kind of open to all of it?
I was open to all of it. I think the biggest question was just like level of experience because like when you're in college for 6 years, like
True.
what scouts really don't like. They rather go for the 21-year-old who has the same build and like has more potential than me.
Hmm.
So they were asking me that, and then just only playing 2 years at D1, like they were questioning my experience. And I was like, well, when you play 6 years of any football, like you're gonna
Hmm.
pick up experience. So I mean, those were the main questions. Asking me like how much I love football. Um, they were testing my knowledge, my IQ of the game. So they would put on film and just ask me a bunch of questions about what's going on in the play. They'll put on my film and try and like roast
Hmm.
me, just to kind of they'll get a rise out of me to see if I was like too defensive and not I couldn't take coaching.
Yeah.
So like they try to do everything under the sun. And if you're like a bad character guy coming out of college, I heard like they would really get on you just to
Yeah.
see like how you would react. So yeah,
Did
no, they don't hold back.
Did you talk with a bunch of teams as far as like leading up to the draft?
Yeah, so at the Senior Bowl, you talk with every single team.
You're right.
So yeah, I mean, I got to meet at least every team.
Okay. That's
I feel like as draft day approaches, you kind of get an idea of like the teams that are, kind of really on you.
Yeah,
Did you have an idea outside of the 49ers who might be kind of in the mix?
yeah. So they had these things called 30 visits, and then like so basically an NFL team can bring you on like it's like a college visit, like an official visit.
Right.
And they can ask you questions. Like you can't do anything physical. Like there's no,
Right.
but they can like ask you all the questions in the world. So I think I had five. It was the Cowboys, the Niners, the Falcons. It was the Saints, and there was one more. Obviously the 49ers, and then there's always one more. But and Buffalo. That was the other
Buffalo.
one.
I'm
Yeah.
disappointed. No Chicago or Detroit. We got to talk to them. What are they doing? Over
Listen, Dominic, I was telling your brother a lot leading up to it. I was like, I hope he's a Chicago Bear, but you being on the 49ers was probably the best thing ever. So
Yeah.
I happy for you, sad for myself. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know. I was very upset about it. Connor, go ahead and ask this amazing question you have lined up here.
All right, I gotta know. It's been burning at me. Did you go Toyota Sequoia or Toyota Tundra?
I took the Tundra. I took the
Okay.
truck.
That's
I
a
took the
truck,
truck.
right?
Yeah, I took
Okay.
the truck.
Did you have a choice?
Yeah, yeah. So there was five SUVs and five trucks, and the O line just kind of had to like decide for our own, like for ourselves.
Okay, you didn't have to fight
You
over
have
the
to
truck.
fight for the truck.
Yeah.
The rookie.
I think the majority wanted the truck, but a couple of the guys already had trucks, so they just let us have it.
Trent was like, I don't care.
Yeah, no. Yeah, he was adding his collection. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't have this one on here, but just talking about being the rookie, did you have, especially in the off season, was there any pranks done on your part to you in the off season? Anything crazy, memorable?
During the season, there was one. So like for the rookie show, we had to do skits, and our skit was not good. So one of the O linemen pranked us. They put packing peanuts in our cars, and
Nice.
they filled the whole.
Classic.
My whole car was filled. It took like there's probably still something in there to this day hidden somewhere, but like it took so long to get them all out. But yeah, that was definitely the worst prank.
I always see those videos, and I'm always like, no way they just made them get all those packing peanuts out by themselves. But it sounds like you were, on your hands and knees just
Yeah,
shoveling
no.
out packaging peanuts. You gotta love
Yeah.
it. Hey, you could probably get some people to help with that. Go ahead.
So yeah, I'll make this a little bit of a two-parter. So one, I just mentioned his name obviously, but talk to me about being a rookie and being able to share a room with Trent Williams and just like what you kind of got out of that your rookie season. And then if you had to pick one lineman outside of the 49ers across the league that like you really respect their game and you feel like are at the top of the league right now, who would you pick?
For the first one, Trent Williams. Yeah, now it's like every story you hear about him is like they kind of build him up as a legend, and then you get in a room with him, and you kind of see why like it's all true. He's one of one. There will never be anybody like him again. He's 36 and he's doing more athletic things than me at 24, which is absurd. But I mean, it's ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it. He's coming back next year. He wants to come back on a tear, so I'm excited for it. But just kind of learning things from him, all the experience he has. I think he's probably the best tackle of all time. So
Oh yeah.
anything he's telling me, I'm definitely listening to. Even though like he'll tell me something, I'm just like Trent, like
I can't do
like
that.
you're the only one that can do that. Like it's not like we can't really replicate that. But yeah, no, he's amazing. And then the second question was
Just
what was
another
the second
lineman
one?
out, another
Oh
lineman
yeah.
in the league that's not on the 49ers that you really respect their game.
There's a lot at guard. Um, Probably Dickerson from the Eagles, Landon Dickerson.
Okay.
He's real good.
Yeah,
Like
that's
he
a good
don't
pick.
wrong with anybody there.
he don't
It's a good
never get beat. Yeah.
Connor was really hoping you'd say
I
someone
was
on the lines.
I was fishing for Panay.
Oh, Panay. I mean, if I were to go tackle, Panay would definitely be on the list
Okay.
for sure.
Talking about that real quick, this is a kind of off the cuff, but tell me a little bit. You get drafted. I don't know if they had told you leading up to it, hey, we want to try you at guard, or was that just something that evolved through training camp and OTAs where they put you at guard, or were you ever messing around at tackle, or was it always guard?
Um, I did mess around at tackle in training camp. But the thing was, we had some injuries in training camp, so it was always right guard, like because we just didn't have enough bodies.
Yeah,
So I had to step into the right guard role. And it was really from there. I just stuck at right guard for the rest of the
yeah,
year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Connor.
So yeah, just talking kind of more about your rookie year. Obviously, I mean, it's no secret you pretty much crushed it. You came into the league, didn't really skip a beat from your college days. But if you had to pick one, or if you even had one, did you have like a welcome to the NFL moment in a game this season?
I'd probably say the whole Packers game was like a welcome to the league moment. I had like three penalties, and then going against Kenny Clark, he was real good. But not just those penalties and playing that environment. That was a tough game for me. So I mean, yeah, that sucked. But
Was it cold?
it was cold, yeah, but it wasn't nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But now, like anytime anybody has three penalties, like that just sticks with you.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
My bad for bringing that up. I did not mean to do that.
oh no, you're good.
Oh, while we're on that too, I mean, do you ever just like? I mean, obviously, I know you worked your ass off, and that's all respect. But do you ever just pinch yourself saying, I was, playing 2K, sucking at 2K. Taylor beat me a couple of times, and now you're playing against with guys like Trent Williams. Do you ever have like that pinch yourself moment or anything like that?
No, I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's weird. I don't think it's really set in yet.
Yeah,
Cause people obviously people tell me how crazy it is, but like to me it's still just football, and
yeah,
like obviously the people playing with are just like famous now, but like they're still dudes. Like they're just
yeah,
like they're the same guys you like that would be on your team, but they're just way bigger like in a spotlight.
right,
So
yeah,
it doesn't really change that much. It's still like a football locker room.
yeah. Tell us one thing, us dummies that watch football on the couch on Sundays, that we don't understand when we're watching the offensive line. Like I think it's so easy for us to be like, our offensive line sucks. Our offensive line sucks. Like, tell us a little bit more about it. How much studying, how much prep, how much running the plays at practice really goes into it, especially like the 49ers run game being as complex as it is. Tell us a little bit about that. It's one thing we wouldn't understand as casuals about playing offensive line.
Um,
That's probably a hard question to answer, but
it is, yeah. That's because I don't know how much you guys know. I feel like you guys know a lot. So I mean, I would just say like going against defensive coordinators, like you game plan all week for the certain looks. Like these plays are supposed to go against certain looks, and then they come out and just do some random BS, and now there's five linebackers sitting on the line like in the box, and I'm like, and so our center he does an amazing job. He's got to point somebody out, and we just rock with it. But I think the hardest thing is just adjusting to like a look that we're not prepared for, like on the fly, especially like at an away game, like in Buffalo or like a real tough like place to play. Being able to do things on the fly is probably the hardest thing for sure.
I'm not sure if you do it. Hopefully you don't. But how heated do you get if you see something on Twitter or someone idiot on some sports podcast like this one criticize your game and you're like, wait, that wasn't my fault. The quarterback just needed to get rid of the ball. Do you get heated?
How heated do I get?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, no, I don't get heated because like if they kind of knew what was going on, then like they wouldn't. It'd be a different story.
Yeah.
But like sports fans are sports fans. Like anybody could like if LeBron misses a dunk, like he sucks.
Yeah.
But in reality, like he's like one of the best players ever. So like it's easy to just sit on the couch and like criticize guys.
Connor asked me if you had a Twitter, and I was like, I don't even know if he does. I looked, and I was putting your name, and there's a 49ers fan account. I think it's just called Dominick Puni Fan Club or something like that. So, I mean, it's probably all positive stuff, I would imagine.
Look at that.
What now that you're in your first off season, off your rookie season, what do you got going on this off season? Is it just a bunch of training? You got any crazy plans like that for the off season?
No, I don't got nothing crazy really. I might go on vacation, but that's about it. But no, I'm just training. Just this week is the first week I'm starting to like ramp it up. So I mean, it just feels good to get back in the weight room and really just only focus on that.
Yeah. what are you hoping going into next year can you take from this year as like lessons learned? Like, going into your second year, what's something that you're hoping like, hey, I figured this out the first year, I'm going to go ahead and add it to my tool belt in the second season.
Exactly what you just said. Just everything I figured out this year carried into next year, all the good, and just delete all the rookie stupid mistakes that I made throughout the year.
Yeah.
Because that's really how you level up, is you just keep doing the right things over and show consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just getting stronger going into next year is definitely going to be a big key for me.
Yeah. Connor, you got anything else you want to add real quick before I give Dom some friendly PR shout out from a small time store?
Let me get into the mind of Dominick Puni. It's game day. We're in the locker room. Let's say you're at Lambeau. 5 minutes left before you got to line up in the tunnel. What song is Dominick Puni putting on to get hype?
It's usually Run On Sentence by Glock 9. I don't know why. But that song just gets me going. Yeah, I'll go with that one.
Okay.
I thought you'd like to know. So my fiance's brother, he has a daughter that goes to Fairmount, and I was home the other week at her mom's house, and she comes in and she's like, an NFL player just came to our school, and I was like, who? She's like, Dominick Puni. I was like, I know that guy, or I know his brother pretty good at least. Yeah. He made her day, by the way. She was hyped up about
That's
it.
awesome.
So I thought you'd like to hear
That's
that.
awesome.
I thought you'd to hear that. So, also, quick shout out to just the Puni family, because I've spent some time over there. The best get-togethers at that house. Awesome family. Yeah, it's incredible. So, Dominic, you got anything else you want to shout out for yourself or anything like that for the people to hear? We don't want to take up too much of your time.
I'll say just shout out Taylor Ackle for teaching me everything I know about football.
Don't say that. We got to cut that out.
He was playing defensive line at the time. That's fine. Yeah. He doesn't play that. I probably taught him everything he has to look out for. Probably.
But now in high school, you and the senior class, like you was real cool to me. So like I'll never forget that, and like you try to teach me everything you can. So wow. I'm very appreciative.
Are you a closeted Steelers guy anymore, or is that just over and done with?
No, it's done.
Okay, I'm just making sure, man. I just gotta ask. I don't know if you still like the Steelers up to before or not. I have no clue.
No. If we play against them, it's over.
Oh, and then real quick, I appreciate you making me want to cry when you played the Bears this year. Thank you very much for that. That was one of the most miserable games to watch. I'm not kidding. It was one of the lowest lows of this season. We've been doing this podcast, me and Connor, for like a year now. And I've had to come on here, and after that game, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Well,
I was happy for you.
That was the first game without the new head coach, right?
Yeah, it's Thomas Brown's first game.
Yeah, so that, I mean, an away game, that's a tough situation.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we'll end on this question. I feel like as fans, we don't put enough emphasis or understanding on how big of a deal a change like that is. Obviously, you haven't had to really go through that. I don't know if maybe you did at UCM or KU, but how big of a deal is it when you have a coach just depart in the middle of the season?
I've never had it happen, but I could imagine it being a really big deal.
Yeah.
Because like a good head coach will command the locker room. Like Coach Shanahan does a fantastic job of controlling the team and controlling the locker room, and we all have so much respect for him. So I couldn't imagine losing a guy like that throughout the middle of the year.
Yeah.
It would just kind of throw everything off. It'd be hard. It'd definitely be hard to like win a Super Bowl because that's everyone's goal, obviously.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine it.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna have that this year. We obviously didn't, but that's okay. That's all right. There's always next year. That's always next year. Do you play the Bears next year? I don't know if you do.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it would be in Chicago. No.
No, it's at San Fran.
Oh come on, that's not fair.
We'll make a trip out.
I could do it. I'll go.
We'll do it.
I'll do it.
But all right, man. Seriously, thank you so much for hopping on, man. We know that Niners will be back next season. We know that full force, so we're excited to see it.
We're a big Dominick Puni podcast. Every time we talk about the 49ers, we say Dominick Puni stopping any defensive lineman coming his way. So
I appreciate you guys having me, though. This is awesome.
You're welcome. Remember, you signed a contract 2 times a year for 5 years. So
I got it.
Mm-hmm. But we can get into the divisional recap. I will save my soapbox for when we get to our game. We can just get into our picks and in the games if you want, Taylor.
Oh, so you want us to wait to do the Lions
I might as
to
well
the
just
end?
do it during the game because that's just going to be my recap of the game in the season.
So Texans and Chiefs.
Texans-Chiefs, we were both 1-3 against the spread, so under 500, unfortunately. That's the way it goes. we both were on the Texans here to cover 8.5, and those sons of
Half a
bitches
point
lost
away.
by 9.
Miami Fairbairn could have covered for us.
Sure could have, but he literally looked like a winter
Like he was
soldier
going
of
skiing.
sorts.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that was. That gave me no confidence whatsoever.
Yep. Yeah. Connor, I think you were probably at home watching this game. I was flying back. I was on a plane, paid for internet to make sure I could watch it. And we'll get more into the game, obviously, but the second roughing the passer call or unnecessary roughness call on Patrick Mahomes, that plane was about to think there was a terrorist on board. That's how mad I was. So I was ready to lose my shit. The NFL, I guess, they're not doing themselves any favors. They're
And
not.
it's so egregious.
Yes.
And you know what it is, too? What's disgusting is it's foreshadowing of what's to come later on
Yeah.
in the playoffs. That's the worst part. It's not going to be the last bad call.
It's just like Gruden said it the other day on the shred line. Like, you pay all these guys in the box that are refs or whatever, instant replay or expedited review or whatever. Just fucking do that for these. Just make that a thing for, these questionable roughing calls because, again, it does seem to happen for the Chiefs, obviously, more than anybody else, but it happens across the league. And the crazy thing is we saw throughout this, divisional round, quarterbacks getting lit up. I mean, Jared Goff almost got murdered. And then I think C.J. Stroud was getting beat the shit out of. Lamar Jackson was getting hit late. And then you see the Chiefs getting, someone breathes on Mahomes and there's a flag. So I don't know.
It's just more of the same. What's gross is that it's nothing new, and it's like,
Yeah.
if they win this year, the NFL is gonna genuinely probably have a problem on their hands. With people are gonna stop watching.
Yeah.
That will happen if it.
I don't know if I got Ben Johnson. I'll probably never stop watching.
I mean, not you, but Chiefs games.
This game, though, Connor, I think the Texans played a little bit better than we kind of probably thought. We both picked them to cover the spread, obviously, but I think the Texans, with the season they had, obviously this game and last week included, I think they kind of put together some pretty decent playoff games at least. I think the defense looked really good, especially against the Chiefs. I mean, Travis Kelce kind of started turning into playoff Travis Kelce.
Right.
And it really came down to the kicker not being able to hit shit. And I think they almost dominated every statistical category on offense compared to the Chiefs, and obviously still lost. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks.
The only person who truly dominated the game was fucking who else? Save yourself the entire regular season so you can show up when it matters. Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
It's like he was finally the Travis Kelce that we've been waiting for the entire season, which is
Mm-hmm.
also frustrating.
Right.
Just a frustrating game, which is like pretty much how you describe every Chiefs game, I think, pretty much moving forward and for the rest of our lives.
Probably. Till Mahomes retires. Or Travis and Taylor break up, whichever comes first.
And that brings us to Saturday night in the Motor City. Lions were 8.5-point favorites at home. They lost by 2 touchdowns to the rookie-led Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels. I'm just going to get through this, Taylor. If you could say your points to the game, I'll respond. But this is what I have to say about the Lions, the season, the game. The only word to describe the ending is disappointing. It was not any one person's fault. It was a total collapse, which only makes it worse. I said going into this game that the only thing we could not have happen is what happened way back in week 2 of the season when they lost to the Bucs at home. How did that loss happen? Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, Jared Goff, Aaron Glenn all had bad days that day, and they had bad days again in unison against the Commanders. The offense scored 30 and put up 500 yards, but did it all playing catch-up. Jameis Williams can't be throwing deep balls on 1st and 10 with a chance to get back into the game, and Goff can't be in an empty set at the Commanders' 17-yard line on 3rd and 1 in a drive to go up 10 points at home when Gibbs is averaging 10 yards a carry. We can't decide on a high school football coach to back up our clearly concussed quarterback after that hit, which was his own fault because he had Sam Laporta wide open 10 yards in front of his face, when we've had the same backup waiting for that moment the entire season in Hendon Hooker. Aaron Glenn died on his shield, blitzing with what little he had left on defense, and he probably should have adjusted more to zone, but I don't blame him for that, and I don't really put too much fault on Aaron Glenn for the loss. Hindsight's 2020. We cannot have 12 men on the field on 4th and 3 within our own 10-yard line, Dan Campbell, to keep the game alive. It was a complete head-scratching decision after head-scratching decision after head-scratching decision. Dan Campbell said it best, if we could have just brought our B game to that game, we probably would have walked out with a win, but we came in with an F, and that's what hurts the most. Best season ever, marred by injury, ending in disappointment, and that's the NFL, as Taylor tried to warn me so often throughout the regular season. Now an almost entirely new coaching staff will get their chance, and above all else, Dan Campbell gets the chance to prove he's more than the coordinators around him. As much as this hurts me to say, change is needed for these Lions to realize their final goal. It's unknown moving forward that scares me the most, but I believe that these two men, and Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, who made all these amazing coaches who they are today, are able to reload and do it all again, only this time with an NFC championship and a Lombardi trophy to show for it.
That was beautiful. Goodbye,
Detroit Lions 2024 season. It was an awesome ride, but I never want to be that successful again.
Connor, that was beautiful. I don't know what to say other than like that I felt your pain during that. You know, I didn't mean to try to talk shit or whatever. You can have a great regular season.
I can't even blame you, because when you were talking to me during that game, I was so out of my mind that everything I said to you, I regret. Everything I said to you.
Where were you watching?
At home.
Yeah, that's where you probably should be.
I can't
in a
be
game
out.
like that.
In
yeah,
a game like that, I cannot be out.
No, I can't do it for a freaking preseason game, dude. I respect it. You know, let's talk a little bit about the game. Obviously, Ben Johnson not really sticking to the run. Again, we love Ben Johnson now. This is a Ben Johnson podcast from my point of view. But him not sticking to the run, again, the turnovers were deadly. I mean, obviously the defense is the defense. I get the injuries are a big part. You were missing some big guys, but you still had some healthy dudes. So we still probably wanted to see a little bit more. I think, don't you agree? I mean, it's still the Commanders.
45 at home is egregious. Like that's obviously never going to fly. But I do think. I mean, I will be honest, Taylor. I think if Amik Robinson doesn't snap his arm in half on the first play, it's probably we probably have a different effort. But I genuinely think that injury was almost like, listen. You knew this was how the season was going to end, and this is your final sign. Like, we're taking away your third CB1.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, when most of the injuries are coming in the defensive backfield, and then obviously the defensive line, those are two critical points. You know, that's what kind of supports the middle half of the defense. So, I mean, still, you know, got to give it to the Commanders. They came in, played a pretty good game.
Yeah, I don't take anything away from their win either. Yeah. Like, Jaden did everything he had to do. He took whatever we gave him. He didn't make a stupid decision. I was waiting for the rookie mistake. I kept talking about that last week. Like, I think he'll make the rookie mistake and we'll take care of the football, and the exact opposite happened.
Yeah.
And I also got to tip my cap to DQ, because Dan Quinn came in and beat Dan Campbell at his own game in his home field, and not many coaches have been able to prove to do that, but he used the analytics against Dan Campbell, and he got in his head and he rattled him early. It was obvious. Yeah,
and I just hope this offseason goes well for you as far as the hires. It sounds like you think they're going to bring some guys from within.
I think. Yeah, I hope. I mean, I don't know. I'm ready for fresh ideas.
Yeah, what I don't want for you as a friend is I don't want you to be like me, thinking about the Chicago Bears 2018 season, because that's the last fond memory I have of my team. I don't want that for you, because 2019, we made the playoffs by the skin of our teeth with almost the same roster. But, you know, we lose some critical coaches. Mainly, obviously, the defense took us there. Vic Fangio left to become the Broncos head coach, and shit obviously rolled downhill after that, and then Matt Nagy gets fired the next season. I don't think that happens to Dan Campbell. I just don't think, and I was texting you this earlier today, just talking about the NFC North. I think the big thing here is whatever happens this offseason, Coach XYZ comes in, whatever, I just think Lions fans need to remember that this is going to be brand new offense, brand new defense, and expectations probably not a lot, because you still have a lot of the same players, and you'll have a healthy defense again. But brand new schemes, brand new plays, all that stuff. You might need to take a little step back with the expectations going.
I think you got to couple all that with just the way our schedule looks as well next year.
Yeah.
Like, I do think we have Murderers Row, home and away next season. I think our easiest game is the Browns, and I think the next easiest game is the Cowboys. So that kind of gives you an idea of the type of caliber. I don't expect the Cowboys to be as bad next year as they were this year. But yeah, man, I mean, this was very humbling. I know that everybody was waiting for the Lions fans to get humbled. You were waiting for me to get humbled, and like I said, you tried to warn me multiple times. Like,
I wanted the Lions to win, though.
I know you did.
That twisted.
I know, but I'm saying you were saying NFL, not for long. That's never resonated more with me until right now. Not that I
Yeah.
don't believe in us going forward, but I was just so confident in the group that we had, and it's more sad than anything that I'll never get that chance with that group again. You know what I mean? And that's what's
Yeah.
sad for the players too. I'm talking like I'm on the fucking team.
Hey,
I'm
when
never
you
gonna
get
get the same locker room again.
listen, I get why people think like football fans are crazy, but when you get as
I'm crazy,
invested,
I'm a loser, but this is my life.
yeah,
So just
when you
back
get so
off.
invested into something, like when I get super mad about the Bears, like again, we're in San Diego. Leslie was like kind of thrown off by how invested I was into the Bears, but I was like, I can't help it. I can't help it. I can't help
I
it
think I
to
want
get
to be
angry.
like this. This is
Yeah.
called addiction.
Yeah.
This is a drug.
Yeah, might as well be crack or meth. I don't know. But no, it was a tough game, Connor. I mean, again, you still have Dan Campbell, and the way that people obviously feel about him, that's got to make you feel good that they can still have a good turnaround.
Did you see what your boy Ben said about this offense?
Not exactly, no.
He said it doesn't matter who's running it. That offense is going to be a juggernaut for the next 3 to 5 years, no matter what.
Well, hopefully they don't hire like Mark Trestman or something.
Obviously, that's just him being nice, but
We could, trust me, there's guys that call plays that could ruin that real quick.
I agree. But that's what I'm saying. I trust the guys that make the decisions. To
You
make
guys,
the right
I
ones.
think Shane Waldron's looking for a job.
I'm sure he is, and he's going to be looking for a couple more cycles. He might need to go to the college game.
Amon Ra, get ready to run quick screens, buddy.
You know who's on the radar? It's a little fucker Matt Eberflus. Maybe we just do a little trade here. OC for DC.
I mean, you can have him. He's a good DC though. He's a good
He's
DC.
He's gonna
Good
have nothing to
DC.
do
Good
with
DC.
personnel
Good DC.
decisions.
Yeah, good DC. Good DC. I wouldn't mind. That I don't think you do that, but that wouldn't be bad.
I don't think so either. I'd be shocked if we didn't go double internal hire, especially if it means to keep Hank Fraley after half of our O-line literally saying they'll revolt if we let him leave. Mm-hmm. But I'm ready for like fresh blood, fresh ideas too. And I know that they obviously all have connections around the league, not just in the building. So,
And I want to say one more thing about this game because I know a lot of Lions fans. I know you're telling me it's the ones on Twitter. I get it. And I'm just speaking to those ones purely. The ones that think Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn weren't locked in to win this game
that's a
for a
joke.
chance to win. This was a chance for them to go win a Super Bowl.
yeah, that's a joke.
Like, the fact that some people, I know you said it's just the ones on Twitter,
No
which
one
I
in their
agree.
right mind actually thinks that, though. And I think that's important to acknowledge.
Okay, fine. Well, they have
those
podcasts
people-
and they're putting those clips out. That's all I'm saying.
Woodward Sports, clipping this, marking this clip. Woodward Sports is dog shit, and nobody should take them seriously. I'm looking dead into the camera.
Better be careful. We don't know those guys.
I know.
They might find your address.
Chad Johnson, founder of Lady Jane's Haircuts, piece of shit, bad owner.
Is that the
Runs a
one that
bad
called?
business.
Is that the one that called Ben Osama Ben Johnson?
I think that's his network, yeah.
Okay, I don't know if
That's
that was the
Woodward
one or
Sports.
not. Well, that was
That's-
crazy.
That guy, yeah. Everyone over there is insane. But whatever. That's enough talking about them. I'm going to cut that, actually, because I don't even want to say their name on here. Rams 22, Eagles 28. Eagles -6. Covered by the skin of their teeth. We both had the Eagles. I think the weather caught up to the Rams in the third quarter when it started to come down a little bit.
Stafford did not look like he wanted to be
just-
playing.
They all kind of shelled up a little bit. That
He
last
also-
throw to Puka was nasty, though.
He also, I think, got rocked in the ribs.
Oh, yeah. He
Yeah.
can't help it. He loves
Yeah.
bruised ribs.
He's
He gets
addicted
bruised
to
ribs
it.
once a game, yeah, I swear to God. He just, no one stands in the pocket with heat on them better than Matt Stafford and still delivers
Yeah.
some perfect football, but he pays for it 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. We said going in that this was going to be a story of that kind of young, hungry Rams defensive line against the Eagles offensive line, and the Rams D-line showed up. They did their part.
They were
for
on,
sure.
yeah.
Jared Verse backed up his shit talk. 2 sacks, I think he had on the day. But at the end, the snow,
Saquon Barkley.
the weather, Saquon, Jalen had a big touchdown run, and then Jalen Carter with the biggest sack of his life to kind of
Yeah.
take all the hope away from the Rams as they were driving down the field to try to tie up the game.
This game got me a little angry, not because of the Rams and Eagles, but Bears fans were fucking being idiots on Twitter saying, I can't believe we didn't draft Jalen Carter. I can't believe we didn't draft Jalen Carter. He apparently almost killed somebody, or, I don't know, was involved with someone dying before he got
was
drafted.
one of those many Georgia
Yes.
football players with a car accident that resulted in people dying.
B, they traded the pick away to the Eagles, which, for whatever it's worth, I know he's a punter. That pick got us Torrey Taylor and Darnell Wright. Our offensive line's terrible.
Torrey
Do not be...
Taylor's the best player on the Bears.
Do
for
not
last season.
per last season, Darnell Wright was actually the best player on the Bears, and we had him because we didn't take Jalen Carter. Our offensive line sucks. Our best player is the one offensive lineman that we got because of that, so shut up. Jalen Carter's really good. He probably needed a really good locker room like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham to mentor him.
In Chicago.
Yes, exactly. But no, I again don't know how the Giants GM has a job. Saquon Barkley's really good, really freaking good. That's
those two. They might be the biggest joke actually, is the Giants.
Yeah, I don't know. The Jags might be up there.
I guess I don't even hate Dayball really. It's just that GM. I can't believe they did that.
Yeah.
Just let Dayball. They obviously like Dayball more too. So why don't you just let him pick his GM and then go from there?
Who knows? But that game was actually pretty fun. Good game to watch.
That was a good game.
It came down to the end.
As this one. Ravens 25, Bills 27. Bills were plus 1.5 at home. We both took the Ravens, so we actually lost this one. But this was a Lamar kind of a nightmare performance. Not what you want to see from probably the MVP of the NFL for the third time.
In the first half.
In the first half, he did turn it on in the end, and then it was Mark Andrews' turn to fuck everything up. And they took turns fucking up and turning over. Josh took care of the football. This is the one spot where if they were going to let him into the game again, it was going to be a Josh Allen mistake. He refrained. There was a point where he was driving backwards into the end zone, and he looked like he wanted to lateral pitch it. He refrained.
That was crazy, dude. I remember
Josh
that.
For
that was
refraining.
Wild.
He's growing up. He's growing up before our very eyes, and it gets him a date to try to get to the Super Bowl against his arch nemesis.
Josh Allen, you're our only hope.
You are our only hope. That takes us into championship weekend. Just talked about Josh Allen. We're going to go back to the Phenom, though, against the Eagles. Commanders at Eagles. Eagles -6. Championship weekend at the Link. I'm saying that we might as well root for the rookie while we're here, Taylor. I understand if you don't want to, but I'm going to go with the Commanders' money line in this game, not to cover money line.
Connor, I have one thing to say only.
Okay.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Okay. The buck stops here with you.
I do not.
You don't need Jaden to be the first rookie in the Super Bowl. Okay.
No. From a pure narrative standpoint, not because I like the Eagles.
That would be a
for the
nightmare.
narrative. For the narrative, I can't have that. I can't. And again, from the game perspective, the Commanders have kind of looked a little bit better on defense, yes, but the running defense still, again, as Jahmyr Gibbs put on display, still not that good. And when you have Saquon Barkley and hopefully Jalen Hurts isn't too banged up with the knee injury he got from last weekend, you got two guys that can run the ball like those two, and then you got Gainwell, who's also a nice change of pace back. I just think you run the football and just shove it down their face, and you come away with the win. This is in Philly. The Philly fans are going to be going freaking nuts. Jaden Daniels, he's always smiling and happy. I want to see him smiling and happy after whatever the Philly fans will be saying to him after this game. That's all I'm saying.
I understand your sentiment. I would like to witness history.
I don't.
And I'm not even thinking about Caleb Williams when I'm doing it. But one thing I will say is you're right. And that's kind of what pisses me off about the Lions game, not to bring it back there, but we were getting whatever we wanted on the ground, and we just didn't fucking do it.
And they got a really good running back, Connor.
They sure do. And they have a really good running back and quarterback, too. So.
And I believe, I know I said it's because of the narrative, but I do think the Eagles are a better team. I believe in Vic Fangio so much. Vic Fangio will figure out how to make Jaden Daniels look like a rookie. Yeah. Vic Fangio is a great defensive head coach, and he is going to exploit a rookie for being a rookie. And again, if the Commanders lose this game, still a great season. NFC Championship game.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, they're playing on house money. They're playing.
Anything, their fans are like, "Fuck, our draft pick a little bit."
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Bills at Chiefs. Final game of the slate. Final game of the episode. Chiefs -2. We're both taking the Bills. No need to talk about it. Just kidding.
Yes.
Give it to us.
Listen, this is our only hope. Because the way I see it is the Bills are probably, just because of the quarterback, I think a better team than the Eagles and the Commanders to take on the Chiefs. I think if we let the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl against the Commanders and Eagles, we've seen the Eagles-Chiefs matchup before. Spagnuolo, great defensive coach. Him going up against a rookie also scares the shit out of me. That being said, it doesn't matter because Buffalo's going to win this game. Josh Allen's going to have – what they can't do is like Sean McDermott got kind of conservative in the second half of that Bills-Ravens game. He kind of took the ball out of Josh's hand a little bit once they kind of got the lead. You cannot do that. You cannot you can't let up the gas on this one. If you're
that's
up,
the
keep
key to the game. Just let it be Josh.
Exactly. And the Bills' defensive line, like the Chiefs have a little bit of a weak point, I think, in their offensive line. I mean, they've been having Patrick Mahomes on the run all season. So you need to have a good game of Von Miller, AJ Epinesa, cousin of our guest, by the way, if you didn't know that.
Wow.
Yes.
No.
Both Ed Oliver. They have a good D-line. You got to get after Patrick Mahomes, and please, for the love of God, do not let Travis Kelce be open in the middle of the field like the Texans did.
Please. Please, please, please. And just score more points than they do when the final buzzer stops.